Good morning, Year 4. It's Thursday the 14th of January, and we are going to continue applying our skill of inferring using evidence. So, very similar success criteria to what we've been doing all week, locating the correct part of the text using key vocabulary. I can provide evidence using words from the text, so a direct quote, and I can check my answers make sense. I found an acronym to help us remember this called ACE. So how do we provide text evidence? Well, we answer the question using prior knowledge and inference, and then we cite the evidence in the text to support our thoughts or opinions, and then we explain it by paraphrasing or directly quoting, so taking those words from the text and writing them down. Okay, so it's just a little thing to help us. ACE. Right, let's read this text together. Last summer, my family and I visited Boston. The flight was long and my little sister kept poking me the whole time. When we arrived, I was very relieved. Boston is a beautiful city filled with history. I had a wonderful time walking down the Freedom Trail and being able to go aboard the USS Constitution. The ship was huge and I got to see the massive steering wheel used to guide it through the water. We then ate dinner in the North End, which serves my favourite type of food. This is an American text, so we would have a U in there. Italian. I ate a big bowl of spaghetti and tried oysters for the first time. With full bellies, we went to the Boston Commons and sat under a tree talking about all the fun we had that day. So let's look at these questions. What did the boy eat for dinner? Support your answer with evidence from the text. Number 2, did the boy enjoy his visit to Boston? Again, find the evidence in the text. Question 3, does the family live close to Boston? Again, find your evidence and support your answer. And what did the family do after dinner? And once more, find that evidence and write it down. Okay, so stop and pause the video and find the answers to those questions. Okay, so how did you get on? Did you get these answers right? So the first one, what did the boy eat for dinner? The boy ate a big bowl of spaghetti and tried oysters for the first time. And that would be fine. And the way they've written it is, I know this because it says it in the text, I ate a big bowl of spaghetti and tried oysters for the first time. It also says that Italian food is his favourite. So it's really, I would say, this bit that you would want. So all of this bit you would want to write. Okay, that would be our answer. So question 2, did the boy enjoy his visit to Boston? I think the boy enjoyed his visit because in the text it says he had a wonderful time walking around, and at the end of the text it also says the family talked about the fun they had. So 2 answers, 2 parts of the answer there. Does the family live close to Boston? The family doesn't live close to Boston because in the text it says their flight was long. If they lived close to the city, they might have driven there, but instead they took a plane, suggesting they had a longer distance to travel. Okay, but as long as you put that first bit, that their flight was long, then I would still give you that mark. Question 4, what did the family do after dinner? Support your answer with evidence from the text. After dinner, the family went to Boston Commons. The text says that they sat under a tree talking and shared their memories of the fun they had had. Okay. Right, now we've got another little text with a few more questions, because I imagine you did that very quickly. Now you're getting so good at finding evidence. So, passage A. It was a pleasant sunny day and Matisse pushed Violet gently on the swing. She squealed happily as it went back and forth. After a while, Matisse began to get bored. He raced off towards the biggest slide he could see. Violet struggled to get off the swing and began to toddle her way towards the slide. Matisse was already zooming down. Violet had just reached the bottom of the slide when Matisse ran towards the climbing frame. Matty, Matty, wait for me, she shouted as she tried to catch up with him. Matisse scrambled his way up the climbing frame like a monkey scaling a tree. Violet managed to reach up to the first rung, but couldn't manage to get her leg to reach. She sat down on the ground and began to cry. Oh, poor Violet. Right, let's look at a couple more questions here. So where are Violet and Matisse? Find evidence to prove your answer. What evidence is there that Matisse runs ahead of, I may say Violet, because I've been doing your French lesson, Violet. What evidence is there that Violet is unable to climb the tree? Okay, so have a look at that text again, reread it, and then find the evidence to these questions. Okay, pause and write down your answers. So, did you get it? Did you look for the clues, that ace, that C, and then write it down with your explanation evidence? So they are in a park because as they are playing, so the clues were, there are swings, there is a slide and a climbing frame. So you'd write your answer as they are in a park because as they are playing on the swings, Matisse runs towards a slide and they are also on a climbing frame. Question 2, what evidence is there that Matisse runs ahead of Violet? Well, if you look over here, she says to him, Matty, Matty, wait for me. She shouted, she tried to catch up with him. So that tells us that he must be running ahead of her. She's trying to chase after him. Question 3, what evidence is there that Violet is unable to climb the trees? That's right down the bottom. It said Violet managed to reach up to the first rung, but couldn't manage to get her leg to reach. That's the important bit. She couldn't manage to get her leg to reach, and therefore she couldn't climb the tree. And there's your evidence. Fantastic. Right, if you feel like doing a little bit more because you're really enjoying evidence and inference, then there's another text we'll just quickly read together, and then I'd like you, as a challenge, if you would like, to make up your own find the evidence questions. So, 4-year-old Lizzie sat in her mother's lap while they read a book about tigers and how they are an endangered species. The book used some pretty big words that Lizzie didn't know, so her mother had to explain what they meant. Lizzie learnt that tigers are decreasing in number and the places where they can live and freely roam are getting smaller and smaller, partly due to the expansion of cities into their territory. Some countries have started programs to help protect the tigers from becoming extinct, another big word Lizzie learned from the story. It means that the tigers will eventually all be gone if something isn't done to save them. National Save the Tiger Month was begun to help create awareness about the problems the tigers are having. At the end of the book, Lizzie suggested that her family adopt a tiger. Her mother smiled and reminded her that they live in a very small house with no room for a great big tiger. They would have to find another way to help the tigers. Okay, so write down some questions where you have to find the evidence to prove the answer. And perhaps when you've written your questions, you can send them to the Year 4 email, and I would love to answer them. Take care, everyone. I will speak to you en français later. Au revoir.